Welcome back. All right, so we are working on the Katina, working on the shop, so excuse the clutter. I mean, it's a mess anyway, which is why we're working on it, which means we create more of a mess while we're cleaning up. Anyway, check it out. Out of the booth, finish is as cured as it's going to be, and we're gonna clean it up, load it up, string it up. Because we set that last coat on dry, you probably can't see it from there, but I can feel it. It feels, you know, the classic orange peel. Actually, it's more like fuzzy navel. Really peach fuzzy going on. So we're going to sand that back. Same thing on the neck. Lightly scuff sand this back. And look at that grain. Oh my gosh, this thing is just so beautiful. We're going to sand all this, scuff this, get it all nice and set the way we want it. Sand this back, get some oil on it and to protect it. And then we're going to finish up the frets. Now, if I was buffing this and polishing this, I would want to come up to about a 2000 grit. Probably start at a 1200 just to knock down the orange peel. And I'd be doing it that way. However, we're not. So let me grab my buckets of sandpaper. This is one of the things we got to organize. See, I got these wonderful empty ice cream tubs that make great storage units for stuff like sandpaper and cloths and pads, but everything gets not organized. So yeah, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be working on the shop, getting some French cleat system going, making little boxes for things to be a little tidier. Very important, I'm finding. Especially when you're under the gun like I am right now. I'm not kidding you. This is one of 10 orders that I've got right now that I'm working on. And this is a very beautiful piece. And I want to treat it with the respect that it deserves and not rush it. Let me start with this one. Just kind of get a real light. And see, that's exactly how I'm doing it. Just real lightly. Just touching it. I'm not trying to grind anything. I'm not trying to shape or maneuver anything at this point. That work's all been done. Now I'm just trying to smoothen this out so it doesn't feel like icky. Right now it feels icky. And not icky sticky. It's quite the opposite. It just feels like an Angora sweater, and it shouldn't feel that way. I don't know about you, but I love Angora, but not on my guitars.
Okay, so let's move on from this Angora sweater talk. So now we're using the conductive shielding paint. Yes, even though we're using active pickups, probably don't need to put this in there, but it's a routine I do when I build guitars, so there. Right, so fret leveling and polishing, key to this is have yourself a slotted flat rule. A regular flat rule like this is great if you want to look at the top of the frets, but you need to know that the fretboard is flat before you go trying to flatten the top of the frets. So it's very important. As you could probably see, that one was well modified. I did a little clip on that, but again, I had so many issues with my computer. I was going to make 2 more episodes out of this, but I'm rushing everything through just so I don't lose any more footage. I've lost a lot. Anyway, back to topic on hand. Let's get this thing grinding. I like using these nice little combo files. However, they are not the final answer for me. As you can see, what I'm doing here is basically just getting the ends. We like to have those nice ball type ends, real smooth, easy to play on the fingers, and they look pretty. So I use it for that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I use it later. Here I am using a radius beam. This is a 16-inch, and as you can see, I'm just using it because the sandpaper on it I like. So I'm not trying to radius the top of the frets. I don't really believe that's a good idea. It's better to use a flat bar like this one. So it's very simple. Just make some marks with the marker. I like using blue, and then sand all the marker off. And if you're sanding them all off together at the same time, pretty much going to level them. It doesn't hurt to double check them. And it doesn't hurt during this process to check your truss and make sure that your fretboard is flat. Now that little process I did there on the upper frets is basically what they call a fall away. You just kind of get those down a little bit more. That allows you to tilt the neck up without those frets getting in the way. And now I just installed the 0 fret and some masking tape. Masking tape is critical at this part because here's where we're actually going to be grinding on those frets. And this is the crowning. So again, I'm using the combo tool to start. Yep, don't forget your blue lines. What I'm doing is making those fat blue lines skinny blue lines. And as you can see, I'm mostly focusing on the edge with the combo file. And then I'm going to come with the triangular file and tighten those up and make them even skinnier. You're making almost a pyramid with these frets, and then you're going to round them back off with sandpaper. This is a lot of work, and if you haven't done one before, I suggest doing it. It's fun. It's tedious, but it's so rewarding at the end. Take your time. Don't rush it like this guy on the video is. Now what I'm doing is I'm just coming across the sides. I like working all one side at a time. So I'm basically working right to left. What I'm doing is sliding down the side of the frets, but I'm doing a curl at the end. And let me show you. See how I flattened one side with the grinder. And then I mark the top of that opposite side with a pink marker so I know which side is my side to use. So now I flip it. Like I said, I like to work from right to left and then working left to right. I don't like going back and forth on one fret. This kind of just gets me more in like a conveyor mode. And anything worth doing once is worth repeating. That's pretty much it. That's fret work for you.
This is what we're going to do to end up with a polish on this thing. This is where it starts. And what we're going to do is get it going with a little bit of juice. Now you've heard me talk about my clarification liquid, my solution. It's basically this stuff. That stuff, about a 50-50 mix between mineral spirits and mineral oil. You'll find it at dollar stores, comes looking like that. It is mineral oil. And all you got to do is read the back. It tells you that. Some of it will have fragrance added. That's okay. I don't mind if it smells pretty. But that's it. Should be only two ingredients at the most. If you can get it, it says pure mineral oil, that's great. But most baby oil is going to add a little fragrance. So, by the time we're done, these frets are going to smell like a baby's bottom. Not sure if that's a good thing or not, depending on what time you go to a baby's bottom. Anyway, so what I like to do is just dip it just a little bit, just to give it a little softness. And I'm going to go right up to the fret, and I'm just going to sand a little bit, going all the way up to the next fret. And then I'm going to start right at that fret and creep my way all the way up to the next fret. So what's happening is, as I'm leaving this fret, that thing is right up next to it, so it's taking care of any glue boogers or anything else that might be down there that's keeping that from being a nice, clean, flat surface. What it's doing is it's coming up that crown and it's putting a nice little roundness to that fret instead of it being shaped like a pyramid. And I'm doing this all the way up and down. Now, as you notice, it's obviously also adding scratches. So when I'm going with the 120, I'm not going very, very hard with it. I just want to go really lightly because I am breaking all the woodshop instructors' rules of sanding against the grain here. which is just one more reason why we dip. Kind of, like I said, soften up that paper. Also keeps it from clogging, kind of takes away some of the clogging. Basically wet. Now I'm not trying to remove everything right now with the 120, because remember, the more scratches I put in that fretboard, the harder I'm going to have to work at getting them out. Same with the frets. So now after getting that done by hand up to about a 600, now I'm coming up to about a 3000 with the machinery, and then using a polishing compound. Now this tends to wear the fretboard a little dry, so then I'm adding more oil to it for that. And then just buffing stuff in, and it's just good old-fashioned buff, polish, wipe, buff, yeah. And the battery box. That's right, for our back plate, this one getting active pickups means it needs a box for a 9-volt battery. So it's got to get cut in somehow. That's what I do, cut it, shape it, and then I'm going to reinforce it with, yeah, fun stuff. Get that box in there, get that all set up. Just take a little bit of shaping. There you go, there's the CA trick. And then, scuff it up, get the screws in there, and then what we're going to do is we are going to shellac it. Just to get back to that nice finish that fits in with the rest of the instrument. And making our wires nice and tidy, putting everything together. This is the part that's just so much fun. Just getting stuff together, getting the knobs on. I'm just using the business card, just kind of give a little space there so the knobs don't go down all the way. Otherwise, it can kind of scratch when you go to turn them. And we're getting the bridge pieces in. So you know what's coming up next, folks. That's right, this thing's going to get some strings on it. But first, we better put tuners on the head. Now, some of you might recall last year I did the Great Guitar Build-Off Challenge. And in some of the material that I was putting on, the videos, I mentioned how my computer damaged a lot of the files. Well, it's happening again. And so unfortunately, you didn't see me wire the electronics on this one. But quite frankly, until I can actually show you a really nice, video on wiring electronics, it's kind of hard to really capture with a still-placed camera anyway. But nonetheless, what I'm getting at is there's that footage that's missing, and also the footage of me actually lining up the neck, carving the nut, and putting this thing together. However, I can tell you this is together. It is sounding delicious, and you'll get the demo of the actual playing demo of it coming up on the next video. Thank you all for tuning in. Oh, and by the way, just throwing it out there, since I was a finalist in last year's Great Guitar Build-Off, it is something that I am considering doing again, although I don't know if I could quite top what I did last time. But let me know what you think, if you think I should enter it. And more than anything, thanks for tuning in to Dude Craft Guitars. What do you think, guys? Okay, I'm going to let it sit like that for the night. I'm going to bed. Yeah, well, that's it for this episode. Everything else is going to be the sound demo, in which case I'm going to take care of any intonation, neck adjustments, any electronics. I'm hoping they work, but, being active electronics and, with the blender knobs and all that, who knows. So I'll take care of all of that between now and the sound demo, which is going to be the next video. So I can't say enough how much I appreciate you all coming around and tuning in to Dude Craft Guitars. Really, thank you. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring that bell so you'll know when the next episode comes, because again, it's going to be the sound demo, and that's going to be pretty delicious, I promise. All right, thanks again, and have a great day.